Silly me. I was under the impression that everybody was as excited about the Switch 2 as me, or at least happy that Nintendo announced a new system that is building upon maybe quite probably their best system ever, taking the idea that really revolutionized the gaming industry and doubling down on it, except this time with more power so they could have more games. But color me corrected, because people are mad at the Switch 2. They think it's boring, they're angry, and they don't quite like it. So good morning, Mario. Good morning, Switch fans. I am flabbergasted. Nintendo can do no right, and frankly, maybe nobody can do any right. It seems like people just want to be mad. There's a lot of dislikes and frustrated comments on the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal trailer. A lot of people have been talking across the internet about how they don't like it. There's articles written about how it's boring, about how it's the end of Nintendo's era of innovation, and about how the Switch 2 is just more of the same. And that's not a good thing. Wow, so much to break down. Let me know your take in the comments down below. Here's my take. Craziness, madness. Nintendo innovated in an amazing way, and they got one generation to do it. And now people want them to reinvent the wheel yet again and do something crazy and different yet again. But you can't have your cake and eat it too. Because Nintendo going the innovative, reinvent the wheel route means that they sacrifice hardware power, and they inevitably sacrifice partnerships with third-party publishers. One of the biggest complaints about Nintendo Switch 1, you guessed it, the graphics stink, and they don't have a lot of the great games that the other consoles have. Nintendo rectifies that, gives them a more powerful Switch, the same cool idea, and people are bummed that it's boring. The Switch 2 can't be boring because the games will not be boring. At the end of the day, hardware is very exciting. It is what you can headline an article with. It's what you have to fork over the most cash for. But it's the games that define a system. It's the games that define a generation. And it's games that define fun. How cool is that PS5 Pro? It's ultra powerful, ultra futuristic. It's got the best, latest, greatest bells and whistles. And you didn't really get a single great Sony exclusive all year, let alone a game that's exclusive to PS5 Pro. Now, I don't know exactly how Nintendo is going to handle their carryover from Switch 1 to Switch 2, but it don't matter because I do know Nintendo will be bringing great games to the platform. They made amazing innovations and strides on Switch 1 with those games, and it wasn't because they really took advantage of any set gimmick. Yes, the hybrid console was a really cool idea and was really innovative, but is Tears of the Kingdom great because it's hybrid? Is Mario Odyssey great because it's playable on something that can be both handheld and home? I'd argue that the answer is no. Does that make the experience more enjoyable, being able to play it in bed and on your TV? Absolutely, but that's not why the games are great. Nintendo isn't going anywhere. Nintendo is still going to be putting out Mario, DK, Star Fox, Zelda, Smash Bros., all those titles on the Switch 2. You're getting great games. Whether the Switch 2 is shaped like a banana or shaped exactly like the Switch 1, you'd be getting Nintendo's great games. So why not allow to have Nintendo's games plus other games by maintaining the form factor, maintaining the system, so Nintendo could instead put their efforts on the power, the hardware, and the partnerships. Look, at the end of the day, I truly believe that it's the standing of the company itself and the game developers they house that matter much more than the hardware or the power or the idea behind it. Look at a company like Microsoft. The Xbox Series X is a super powerful console, and they're falling apart. Yet they're making some cool games. They've got this Game Pass idea that's insane value, and still people say like Xbox could easily go away. PlayStation, on the other hand, has phenomenal franchises, yet many of them have not even released this generation, and the console is selling super well. It's more of the same, but that's fine because they've got a great history, they've got a great standing with their fan base, and they have a great setup for this generation, and we know that their development partners will eventually produce the titles we've been waiting for. PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Some innovation. Boring, yes, but successful, absolutely. What matters and defines these consoles, though, are the games. So here's your choices, people. You can have a Nintendo system that is innovative, extremely weird, extremely different, underpowered, and has Nintendo games, and probably won't sell well, and therefore will reduce the budget of future Nintendo games, meaning you're getting a very innovative, exciting console that will have worse games and less of them. Or you can have Nintendo double down on the idea that was already their best idea yet, maintain their standing and status as an industry leader and the most money-making company out there in the video game space, for hardware manufacturers and allow them to build upon their games. People are saying Mario Kart 9 looks just like Mario Kart 8. Urgh. You know what else looks a lot like something? It's God of War. Looks like God of War, looks like God of War, looks like God of War. The Last of Us and Halo look like themselves over and over again, but it's how you play them, the level design, the stories, and what innovations have come within the gameplay mechanics that define those titles, and you have no idea what Mario Kart 9 is going to be like. You've seen 7 seconds of an open road, and it was meant to show off the hardware. That was not meant to be, this is Mario Kart 9's showtime. This is the spotlight on Mario Kart 9. People are saying, oh, it's got the same boring games, the same boring graphics, the same boring form factor, and it's going to be just exactly the same. First of all, that wouldn't be too bad. But second of all, it's just not the case. It obviously is a bigger, better system, and it obviously has much more power, and it obviously will be able to support many more third-party franchises, as evidenced by the games that have leaked out. Tell me how this doesn't get you excited. The leaked games thus far, okay, are Metal Gear Solid Delta, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio. Are you freaking kidding me? Those are leaked games for a Nintendo console in the launch window of its first year. Halo has also been leaked for Nintendo Switch 2. Everybody should be bowing down to this system, and I don't feel bad saying that. Yeah, this is a Nintendo channel, call me a fanboy, but just a week ago, I was said to be too negative because I predicted a hardware overview trailer instead of a razzle-dazzle rooftop gameplay palooza like we got for Switch 1. So make up your mind. Am I negative? Am I too positive? I think I'm just accurate in this case that Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be glorious because it doubles down on what Nintendo does well. It will have excellent games, and they have the monetary resources to pursue their ideas in a way that will put them into your hands. Not just the hardware, but the gameplay experience. At the end of the day, would you really want a super cool piece of hardware with a lackluster library? Or would you rather have a boring piece of hardware with an exciting library? Or you get a great piece of hardware and a great library, because that's what the Switch 2 is setting up for. The Switch 1 had one chance, one iteration, one world. I mean, yes, there was the OLED, yes, there was the light, and they tried to modify a few things, but in general, they didn't have a chance to get rid of Joy-Con drift. They didn't have a chance to expand the screen size. They didn't have a chance to improve the power of the system. They didn't have a chance to add on to the online and maybe bring us better abilities to interact with our friends. The Switch 2 is what we all deserve, and thank goodness it's Nintendo improving upon the Switch. Do you remember the first DS? Do you remember how much better the DS got? Do you remember the first Game Boy? Do you remember how much better the Game Boy Advance got? Let Nintendo cook with the Switch. It's not enough to give them one generation. Reinventing the wheel and going VR, reinventing the wheel and going some triple screen system, it would only set Nintendo back. Look at what happened with the Wii. They achieved incredible monetary success, although I'd argue the game development was not really up to snuff, and then they decided to go crazy and they lost it all. Nintendo has finally merged everything together. Great hardware design, handheld, home, and great gameplay design. It's all in one package. Oh, by the way, monetary success and gain. They've made everything happen, and you want them to blow it up because it's boring. Is it really boring to play the next greatest Mario game on a Switch system? Is it really boring to play the next greatest Zelda game on a Switch system? If they called it the Snap, would you be more excited? I don't know what people want except to be ornery, angry, and angsty, because this is exactly what we need. Everybody was worried that Nintendo would botch the transition, and now they're saying it's boring. I think they just need clicks, and I think they just want to take up real estate in your mind by saying something outlandish to make you remember. Feels a lot like politics, where you just say the loudest, craziest thing you can think of, and everybody covers it. Nintendo Switch 2 is exactly what it needs to be, and it's going to be the best for it. When you play the next Mario Kart game and it's so much fun, you're not going to be thinking, I wish that my Nintendo Switch had a pinwheel that I could spin in order to better decide how the kart moves on the track. You're going to be saying Mario Kart 9 is freaking great, and I play it on my Switch 2. And thank goodness I can take this Switch 2 with me after I docked it to the TV, because hybrid is awesome, and nobody else is doing it like that. Not Xbox, not PlayStation, yes, Steam Deck, but that system, it's not in the same ballpark as Nintendo because they don't have exclusive games. They don't have the lineup that Nintendo has that will make their systems consistently sell well, no matter what they are. And from that standpoint, it's actually ballsy of Nintendo to go the same route, to go the boring route, because they know that they could sell it by doing something kooky, crafty, and maybe underpowered. And then there's the all other conversation of people saying the Switch 2 is going to suck because it's not looking that great. They see 7 seconds of Mario Kart, they say, ugh, it looks terrible. It's not going to run this, it's not going to run that, it's 8 nanometers, it's this. You haven't seen it yet. At least give it till April 2nd and then we can be crazed about how crappy the graphics look. First of all, it's very hard to convey graphics through YouTube anyways. But second of all, we haven't really seen what they have on offer, and you're gonna have to wait till you see it in person to really decide if it's significantly better. All signs point towards it being significantly upgraded, and people want to worry about what their old games are gonna look like, if their old games will run. Backwards compatibility said not everything will play on the Switch 2, but guys and girls, not everything plays on the Switch Lite. They're talking about a few games that will not be compatible or carry over because either A, they couldn't get a deal in place, or B, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work because it's something like Nintendo Labo where the Joy-Con ain't gonna fit anymore in those cardboard structures. Nintendo isn't looking to bring over 4 games and rule out the other 4,000. Nintendo's backwards compatibility is going to be 90+%. And like I said, the only stragglers are going to be because of failed deals or because they don't work at all. And why look backwards when you could look forwards? I know there's going to be a big to-do about how Breath of the Wild plays on Switch 2, how Mario Odyssey plays on the Switch 2, how Smash Ultimate plays on the Switch 2, but my friends, at the end of the day, this industry struggles and suffers by looking backwards. Here's the 2 greatest examples. Remasters and remakes cloud the industry from new ideas, and trying to be also-ran makes things miserable. Look at games like Suicide Squad. They told them at Rocksteady, you gotta make a games as a service game because it worked years ago for other games, and then Rocksteady developed it and it stunk. They tell all these companies, you gotta make what worked years ago, and by the time they get to it, it ends up blowing up in their face and being boring and not what we want. You don't want to chase the past, you want to look towards the future. Nintendo's greatest talent is not their ability to make quirky hardware that is really weird but still fun and different and kind of cutesy kitschy. It's their ability to develop games. They will develop great games no matter the hardware you give them. You can give them a Super Nintendo, a GameCube, a 3DS, or a Switch 2, and those games will be solid. But the games will be even more solid if they have the hardware might to take advantage of, and if they have the money stockpile to make it work, and they do. That's why I believe you're seeing more innovative, exciting ideas from Nintendo, like Breath of the Wild, like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. They're allowing for creativity because they are sitting pretty. Do you want Nintendo to go back to the Wii U era? Wasn't very exciting. It was very scary, and Nintendo was not doing well at all. They did not have great third-party partnerships. They had a little bit of an inroad with the indie community, and their first-party games were fun, but I wouldn't say that the Wii U was an exceptional library across the board. It was a slight library and one that many people completely skipped out on. So what do you want Nintendo to do? Make great games, make a bunch of money, and remake their greatest idea ever, but make it way better? That sounds great. Do people hate the iPhone because it's the iPhone every single time? And I'll add that if Nintendo makes the Switch 17, I'll say, yeah, it's time for something new. But we're at the Switch 2. There's only been the Switch, and it's the Switch 2. And I think one of the issues is many people have not yet seen why this system is different. Either they're not following the leaks, or they don't understand the improvements that have been made, or they haven't yet seen the games that really take advantage of what makes the Switch 2 distinct. I think in many ways people think this is just another Switch, and they already have a Switch. They're not realizing that this is the Switch 2. That means it is the next system, an evolution, a step up. Despite looking the same, it's going to be notably better and play notably stronger, better looking, more impressive, bigger, bolder games. That is how a new generation works. But I think many perceive this as the same generation. It's not. It's not boring because it's Switch 2, it's exciting because it's Switch 2. It's not boring because it looks the same, it's exciting because it looks the same. And that sounds weird to say, but it's so true. Give Nintendo a chance to make this even better than it was, and you're going to be blessed with a beautiful generation. Oh, by the way, you get Call of Duty, Madden, and Assassin's Creed, and Metaphor, and all of these other titles that were never possible on the Switch, or the Wii U, or even the Wii, and now they're coming to your system in very close capacity. Not like a waggle version of Madden All Play, but the real Madden. Not like a waggle weird version of Call of Duty, a collection of older titles, but the real Call of Duty. Nintendo is making inroads and partnerships in places that they never made before, and it's because they're relying on the same design and the same success that brought them so many players in the Switch 1 era. Remember Animal Crossing New Horizons? That game was basically an also-ran of Animal Crossing New Leaf, but it did amazing. Now Nintendo has the hardware power and the money to make a truly new big Animal Crossing. Here's my prediction. I think that many of the bold ideas we saw on Switch 1 were just the beginning. And even though many say it was the best Zelda, the best Mario, the best Animal Crossing, I think that's going to be double and triply true with the Switch 2. I think now with refined power and even more money, Nintendo is able to develop these things to the highest extent, till their dreams run wild. They don't have to worry about we can only fit 20 items on the screen before it gets all glitchy. They don't have to worry about 11 frames per second in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet game. Although the Pokemon Company might do that again, I can't promise that. But I do think Nintendo proper will make amazing strides that yet again feel like they're reinventing the wheel within the games. That's what you want. Ultimately, it's about the games. It's not about the hardware. What is a system without its system seller? What is a system without its exclusive? What is a system without things to play and enjoy? You can't really enjoy that OS for more than a few moments. Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be one of the most incredible consoles to ever grace the face of this earth. And it's because it's boring. It's because it's the same. It's because it's just another Switch. Just another Switch, like the PS2 was just another PlayStation, like the PS4 was just another PlayStation, like the Xbox 360 was just another Xbox. Do you know that when Nintendo doubles down, again, they double down crazy good. The Super Nintendo, the Game Boy Advance, the DS after its first clamshell iteration, and now the Switch 2. Nintendo has never let us down when they stick with an idea for more than one generation, and in fact, they've almost always let us down when they go quirky and weird. Reduce library, reduce success, reduce third-party support. Is that what you want, my friends? If you want something quirky and weird, might I suggest VR? That Batman game is incredibly impressive. It's pretty quirky because you're wearing goggles, and it feels so darn good. If you want something very bizarre, there's plenty of games on Steam that are going to provide you something that you might never have seen anywhere else. But if you want the best video game system you can possibly buy in 2025, the Switch 2 is for you. No matter the price tag, this Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be absolutely worth it because Nintendo is going to put their heart and soul and all of their development might and money into making incredible games that will redefine what a Nintendo game can be. And oh yeah, you also get all the other franchises that we've missed out on for the last 8 years. All of those franchises coming to Switch 2, including Halo and Mario on the same console. That alone should silence the haters because it's something that only moms calling GameStop could dream of. Now we get it as our reality, and the Switch 2 is going to blow everyone away. You can wait and see the games, you can wait and get your questions answered, you can wait till you can feel the Joy-Con in your hands, but I already know the Switch 2 is exactly what Nintendo needed to do, and it's not boring, it's in fact the opposite. It's exciting, it lets them double down, and when Nintendo doubles down, we eat. Let me know your take in the comments down below, everybody. I feel so good about the Switch 2. You should too. Until the next time, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.